We're going to get into secondary rankings now. We'll do top 9 for the cornerbacks, top 6 for the safeties, because safeties list is not as deep as the corners. A lot of good corners in this list. We'll go 1 to 9. And we'll start off at the top, Avery, with Mansour Delane.
Yeah, Mansour Delane was my pick to the Commanders, I think. Mansour Delane was my pick to someone in the first round. He's great in ranked games, which is one of my favorite things to see is when players are doing well against ranked opponents. He was my Commanders pick. That's good to hear. What I noticed from watching his film is, well, what film they have, is he's great in short yardage situations. He reads routes really well and plays extremely physical. He's got great vision, and I think the big thing is he's step for step with wide receivers, a really aggressive man coverage corner, which is something that I think the NFL is quite frankly lacking in a lot of right now. The best corners are decently aggressive. On the other side, he's 6 foot. He's 190. He's a little too physical, I think, on a lot of deep balls, and he doesn't really turn enough, which is definitely going to get him beat, especially in his first few weeks in the NFL. It'll probably be a cold welcome to him into the league. I think speedier receivers are probably going to beat him, especially downfield, just because he doesn't have that speed factor to get to that next level. My pro comparison for him is L'Jarius Sneed, which could be a lot worse. L'Jarius Sneed was a strong corner for a while. I think he could fit with Washington, of course, which I mentioned. Miami, Philadelphia. I think what's really important for Mansour Delane, if you want him to succeed in the league, is you pair him with another strong corner like Cooper DeJean. He's a mid-first talent, but I think he's probably going to pan out to be mid-first, early second once we look at this whole draft class, which is a decently deep draft class this year compared to like last year. I don't know. I foresee a decent future for old Mansour Delane out of LSU.
Yeah, these top 9 corners could all go in the top 2 rounds.
Yeah, they could.
Will, yours?
All right, I'm taking Jermod McCoy. Well, I'm not taking him. I was given him, but I gave him to the Lions at 17 in our mock draft. Jermod McCoy, 6 foot, 193 out of Tennessee. He didn't play last year, tore his ACL at the end of the year prior. But in 2 years at Tennessee, he had 75 tackles, 14 PBUs, and 6 interceptions. That just speaks to how good he was. They threw the ball his way a lot, and he did a lot when they threw the ball his way. I think he's got elite ball skills, and he can track it really well. He's super fluid, and he's one of those guys that'll run the route for the receiver. Obviously, that torn ACL, how much does that concern a team? I don't think too much. At this point, we know that you can come back from an ACL pretty much unscathed. He's 100% going in the first round, maybe a little later than if he had played this year. People see him, people see him going to the Rams, to the Cowboys, somewhere in that like 10 to 25 range, just depending on what corners are still available. And then once you trust the knee, how much do you trust that knee? So Jermod McCoy is going to be a great player in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I got Avion Terrell at that 3 spot from Clemson. Late first-round pick for me on the projection. It looks like most people have him going to the Vikings at 18. He's overall ranked in 22. I think he has the best zone coverage ability as a corner in the draft. He's physical in the run game, makes him a trusty 3-down corner. A thing called a peanut punch, which I learned today. Which is basically
learned today.
I did. Yeah, I actually didn't know that was a thing. But the peanut punch, he's lethal with 8 forced fumbles in his college career. He's technically amazing at it. Versatile, can play nickel, outside press, off zone. He's very ready for an NFL playbook. The weaknesses, though, he's undersized. He will be overtaken on physical big receivers in the NFL on contested catches. Very grabby. Will get a decent amount of penalties in the league. And when playing soft press, gets beat every time by a speedy receiver. Have him going in that late first round.
I've got Colton Hood out of Tennessee. He was originally at Auburn, then moved to Colorado, transferred this year to Tennessee. He's from McDonough, Georgia, which I think is funny because it's spelled like Sean. And he had 77 total tackles in his career, 5.5 tackles for loss, and 3 picks, 1 pick six. He's really great on the deep ball. His outside release and jump ball is probably where he's best. High point passes, he's great, and on the boundaries, he's really good. He's got really good hands, which is, and I'm not talking like catching hands, just really great physical hands. And he's really great at tackling in close space. There's a lot of really greats in Colton Hood. He's good in press man, and he was an immediate starter in the SEC. Here in all SEC honors, which is a really big deal especially for corners with all those SEC wide receivers. He's also 6 feet tall, which is a little rough. He's a little too touchy if receivers are too twitchy, which in the NFL, you're going to get called for those things. And he leads guys on in a lot of inside releases, which isn't great, allows a lot of short receptions on slants and whatnot. His change of direction isn't wonderful, and he's not a great tackler in the open field. He missed a third of all his tackles last year, which the good thing is he's a cornerback, and tackling isn't what they really want. My pro comp for him is Greg Newsome, which, again, not too bad. I think he fits with the Giants. He fits with the Rams. He fits with the Colts. Anywhere that wants press man guys, his really great thing is he can just bully you at the line of scrimmage. I'm giving him an early to mid second round grade.
Now I'm going to go with our 5th pick, and that's going to be Brandon Cisse out of South Carolina. 6 foot, 190. He's a junior. He had 65 tackles, 10 PBUs, a forced fumble, and 2 interceptions. Not a huge ball hawk there, but I don't really think that matters. He's got super long arms. He is listed at DB, but he played the majority of his season at corner. He's really good at jamming receivers at the line. We just talked about it. Not the biggest frame, but those long arms will get the job done. He's super fast. They're projecting him to be somewhere in the 4.3 to 4.4 range, so can stick with anybody, I guess, except maybe Worthy. He's great in man and not as good at zone. He can get lost a little bit. When he's able to stay stride for stride, he's really good. But if he's got to kind of sit in a spot and wait for somebody to get to him, he's a bit bad there. He's also just not the greatest tackler in the world, but no corners are really that great at tackling outside of your boy, Pat Surtain.
Let's go.
He's got a bit of an injury history. He missed time in 24 with a wrist and then left 2 games this year with a knee injury. It's a little scary for teams if we don't really know what's going on with the knee and had to leave with a wrist. I know a lot of teams are just going to be a little wary of that. For me, I think he's a late first, early second round type guy. A lot of mocks have him going to the Seahawks, which if the Seahawks get another safety DB out of South Carolina to pair with Nick Emmanwori, it's going to be really annoying. They also have him going to teams like the Rams or the Cowboys. What we just said for Jermod McCoy, we're saying again for Brandon Cisse, I had him at 5th.
Yeah, then I got ASU, Keith Abney at number 6 here. First thing that pops off is his footwork. He has mirror-matching footwork that every breakdown. If you look up any breakdown on Keith Abney and his draft profile, that is the first thing they say. The film shows it. His footwork is insane. He's very good at anticipating routes. Sometimes just runs the route for the receivers or for the receiver. Excellent awareness, vision, and processing in zone coverage. Had 11 forced completions, the 4th most in the Big 12 last year. Weaknesses, he barely played press at ASU. They ran more of a zone, and if it was a soft press when they were in man. Stiff hips when transitioning from the back pedal, and height limitations at 6 foot, which really isn't that big of a deal. It's a small thing going into the NFL. Everybody has him as like a late second rounder to early third. When I watch him and when I see all his breakdowns, I don't really see that part of him going late second. I see an early second round talent. There's not much wrong with him. Maybe it's more that people don't think his ceiling is too high, but I think his floor is really high. I think early second, he's mocked to the Eagles a lot. He's mocked to the Raiders a lot, too, in the second round. I would say the Raiders probably that number 1 team he goes to.
We're going early second to early second bar for bar on this one. I've got Chris Johnson out of SDSU. They called him one of the best kept secrets in college football, and there's good reason to see why. His IQ is off the charts. He's really technical and a great outside corner. He had 4 picks last year. 2 of them were returned for touchdowns. He's really physical and just super smooth. And again, I can't talk enough about his IQ. He just looks like he understands the play. The big thing is he watches the catch point of the wide receiver. He should be watching the ball. He can get out-timed and probably will get beat there, especially early in the NFL. I didn't see a whole lot of weaknesses when I was watching him, to be honest, though. Apparently, he has hand problems in zone coverage, which I guess don't put him in zone coverage in that case. He was also Special Teams Player of the Year for San Diego State, which could bid well for teams that need a special teamer as well. My pro comp for him, this is a high one, Kobe Bryant. It's players with great football IQ and just really smart, good instincts with strong visions for the football. That's why I give him that. I'm giving him an early second grade as well. I think any team is going to be lucky to have him, and honestly, he could be maybe not a star, but a very solid player in the NFL.
Yeah, we're going to go to the penultimate of our corners, and it's going to be Keontae Scott, the senior out of Miami, 6 foot, 195. Over his career, he had 117 tackles, 13 PBUs, 6 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 picks. The scouting report on him, if you just turn on the tape, is he plays like a linebacker with how he gets out there. He's got every tackle in his bag. He's not afraid to take on big boys and get dirty, but he is twitchy. He's got good sideline to sideline. He's a dog. Some of the weaknesses, though, he's good at going and trying to tackle people, but he's got a 20% missed tackle rate. He doesn't wrap up. He just drives his legs. Think about it as when you're swinging a baseball bat, you have to move your bottom half. If you swing the bat just your arms, you're going to hit the ball, but you're not going to put any power into it. Think of it in the same way to where Keionte Scott doesn't wrap up. He's just hitting the guy and moving. It's not great. He's also 24, so he's kind of unk, but that also means he's got a lot of playing experience under his belt. He's a second to third round guy, but I'm guessing more closer in the second than the third. A lot of teams, again, the Seahawks are going to be picking probably a defensive back late in the first round, and then it's kind of throw a dart at the board with the rest of the teams in terms of what are they going to want towards the second and third rounds.
No chance he gets moved to safety?
There's a chance.
There's
a chance they move him into the box as like a nickel type guy.
Yeah. For the last one, D'Angelo Pons, number 9, the Indiana corner. He has elite speed. He's ultra explosive. Helps him play aggressive because he doesn't really get burnt deep with that speed and that explosiveness. He's a really great athlete. The zone awareness is exceptional. He's confident with his small size, very aggressive and ferocious. He has elite route recognition. But those weaknesses are big. He's 5'9", 170, very short arms, struggles getting off blocks and run support. He's not a good tackler, and he played exclusively only outside of Indiana, which when you're 5'9", 170 with short arms, I don't think you're exclusively going to play outside in the NFL. That's why I have him as a late second round to early third round. He's a great athlete. He has all the tangibles. He's just 5'9", 170. His short arm. It's tough to see him really pan out that well in the NFL. If he's a slot guy, if he's a nickel corner, I think that's definitely possible. But right now as an outside corner, I can't give him higher than a late second round pick. Top 6 safeties. Number 1, Will. I think this is very obvious and probably the most surefire number 1 outside of Mendoza.
Yeah, it's Caleb Downs, 6', 205 junior out of Ohio State. 256 career tackles in just 3 years, 1.5 sack. Honestly, a bit surprising. 6 interceptions. He had that first year at Alabama, played alongside Brian Branch there in that secondary, and then 2 at Ohio State. The thing that jumps out to me on his tape is his aggressiveness and his tackling. He is not afraid to head straight into the line of scrimmage to make a tackle on a running back or sniff out a screen. He can be too aggressive when looking for that highlight reel tackle and whiff, but that's a little more rare than a guy like Keionte Scott, like we just mentioned. He can get a little excited trying to shoot the gap and then miss the wrong gap. Overall, he's a hell of a player, and we've known that since he was a freshman. We knew that he was going to be the number 1 safety in the draft 3 years ago. Same thing we talk about with Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver-wise. We knew that Caleb Downs was going to be that guy. Safety-wise, he's also, Avery talked about it with the guy out of San Diego State. He's got 2 punt return touchdowns. If you need him, he's a guy that if he has to go back there, both of the returners are out, put Caleb Downs back there. One of the safest picks in my draft, in my opinion. He's going somewhere from 5 to 15. Just how much do you want to draft a safety and how high do you want to draft them?
Oh, sorry for my one. Emmanuel McNeil Warren, early second round pick. I mean, I don't think we're going to see a safety that goes inside of in the first round outside of Caleb Downs. He had 9 career forced fumbles, physical specimen, 6'2", crazy 32-inch arms, very downhill run stopper, angry when he's getting in those running lanes, very fluid and smooth when needing to be. Had 13 tackles and 2 forced fumbles against Kentucky. When he's a guy that's from Toledo, I don't think Toledo should be a problem. We just saw Quinton Mitchell coming off first-team All-Pro year. People thought that would be a problem with him coming into the draft. Weaknesses, though, he struggles in single high coverage. Vertical speed is a concern with some receivers. He hesitates in decision-making as a last-line defense. And he just does too much like pre-snap bouncing around and movement, which hurts him sometimes in that pre-snap. Early second-round pick, really a physical specimen, just has some stuff that he needs to work on.
All right, to me, I've got Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. He was a 3-year starter, was a long-time identity in the secondary of Purdue, and then went to Oregon for a year and was a good identity in the secondary there. He had the interception off Drew Allard and Oregon Penn State. Fans of the Top 150 will recall Noah Eagle going, "Dylan Thieneman calls game." I can say a little bit about him, but I'm not a Ducks fan. So I had to go to the greatest Ducks fan that I think any of us know, my old Roll the Tape partner, Trevin Rexius, or Roll the Tape, bottom of the 6 partner, Trevin Rexius.
Dylan Thieneman, let's talk about him. 3-year starter in college, or last played with the University of Oregon. He has really good production. 306 tackles and 8 interceptions in 3 seasons. That's ridiculous. He has really good size and athleticism. I would say his coverage IQ is higher than most. He has really good ball tracking abilities. You saw in that Penn State game that he can read routes and just anticipate well, and that's something I would give him. He's a really great open field tackler, obviously with his 306 tackles. He has really good pursuit of the football. He has really good awareness of him on the field and spacing-wise, I would say. He recognizes routes. He knows when to run downhill and attack the different ball carriers. And I would say that all in all, he's a really good safety that can play all three safety positions. Something that I've noticed when he was at Oregon is he really takes the eyes off the QB, which is a really good thing to notice. For kind of a comparison, I would say it's another Oregon safety. I would probably say Javon Holland. I know that's probably what NFL has, but that's just what I've noticed from his time at Oregon.
All right, so you might be wondering, how much does this Treffin guy know about the Ducks? Well, he and I wrote the exact same thing. His pre-snap adjustments and range are great. He's got enough size and athleticism to play any safety type needed, which is, I think, the really important part in safeties nowadays, is to be versatile. And like Treffin said, he's got great downfield pursuit. On the other side, his route containment is not wonderful. He misses steps in man coverage, and probably the biggest downside, he's a white guy. My pro comparison is another white guy. Harrison Smith, but like not Harrison Smith in his peak, like probably 2020-ish Harrison Smith is what we're going for.
I like that.
He's a good tackler. He's pretty sneaky smart, and he's white. And I think he could be Harrison Smith's replacement. I think he fits with the Vikings. He fits with the Cowboys. I think he could fit with the Niners.
Hey.
Mid-second grade, but I think he's an early second talent for sure.
Sneaky athletic, locker room guy. You know, everybody wants to be around him. Shout out Treffin, man, our second ever guest, though not technically official. Our fourth safety is going to be A.J. Halsey, the senior out of LSU, 6 foot, 222. He's got 346 tackles. I expect that at that size and weight. 17 PBUs, 4 forced fumbles, 17 interceptions. The numbers jump out. He's got great eyes and great instinct, obviously, when you've got that many PBUs and tackles. He plays the ball like a receiver, which is great. If you look at him, he's just built really strong. He doesn't look like he's 222 at 6 foot. He carries that really well. He's a good tackler, but some of that extra weight on the frame has had him a little slower than other guys. He's not like the greatest tackler in the world. I know 346, but he's got some short arms. He can be a little bit not great in the tackling range. And for me, I think it's just the type, I think, is going to be bigger than anything in terms of what he's able to do on the field and the body type. Do you want a bigger, stockier guy type safety that can play more in the box, who can get, guys over the middle, running backs, cover those types of guys? I have him going somewhere in the 25 to 50 range. It really depends on defensive scheme, and I'm not entirely sure where he'll end up, but it's somewhere in that like second half of the top 50.
I have Kamari Ramsey here from USC. Early third-round grade. Don't love him. Don't hate him, though. I think he's a solid third-round type of guy. Covers tight ends exceptionally well. It's the one thing that pops off when you look at Kamari Ramsey. He reads QB's eyes and receiver routes with precision. Seems to just always be around the play on run or pass. When the play is ending, he's making the tackle or he's right there with his teammates. Very versatile at USC. Played a lot of two-high, robber, and nickel, so can work very well in an NFL playbook. Only had 2 interceptions, and he dropped a lot in college. The dropped like 4 or 5 interceptions at the point of catch, I guess, kind of like a receiver. He just couldn't get it down. Needs to improve tackling technique very badly. Takes over aggressive angles in the run game and has just average speed. He gets beat out a lot of the time. Bears looks like the best fit for him. They're looking for a safety this draft, and I think in the 3rd round you could pick up this guy who's got a good ceiling, but that floor right now is very low on Kamari Ramsey.
Oh, I'm next. I've got Zakee Wheatley rounding out our top safeties, and it's kind of unfortunate we're rounding it out with this because I'm not crazy about Zakee Wheatley. He's rangy, he's strong over the top, he's a good downhill runner, and a decent tackler for being 6'2", 200. He's got a good feel of the field, but I got to be honest, just watching him out there, he looks small, and I understand safeties aren't usually built to be huge. Hufanga's not big. Treffin mentioned Javon Holland. He's not big either. But there's nothing really special about his tackling that stands out to me, despite what people say. I don't think he has the speed to drive out blockers or beat physical receivers or tight ends. Personally, as someone who has longed for a strong safety, that's what I've really cared about, and I just don't really see it in Zakee Wheatley. My pro comp to him is maybe a little kind here, but Bradley McDougald. He's a small guy. He's a good run stopper. He's got lots of room for growth. I'm giving him a late 2nd, early 3rd grade.
Well, his top 9 QBs, Mansour Delane, Jermon McCoy, Avion Terrell, Colton Hood, Brandon Cisse. Cool. Keith Abney, Chris Johnson, Keontae Scott, D'Angelo Pons, 1 to 9, Caleb Downs, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Dylan Thieneman, A.J. Halsey, Kamari Ramsey and Zakee Wheatley.
Yep.
That's the top 6 safeties.